Hello, everyone. I'm Charlie Danis of Capital Athletics. This is the Capital Women's Basketball Podcast, and joining me this week, the senior guard, Shelby Sheets. Shelby, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me.
So, OAC play has started, 2 games into the conference schedule. Before we get into the first couple of games that you played in conference play, how would you describe OAC women's basketball?
OAC is definitely competitive. I mean, coming out every game, I feel like we have to be on our toes, just knowing what to expect. It's really a physical, up-tempo. It's just every team is out to get you, every game.
What do you make of the teams so far this season in the OAC? I'm sure that you've also seen some film of other teams that you have yet to play this season.
Yeah, we expect a really tough schedule. We don't think any game is going to be easy. The 2 teams that we played so far, Wilmington and Mount Union, they've been exactly what we expected. Just physical, really up-tempo, and just tough games.
Let's talk about those 2 games. Didn't get off to the swiftest of starts, a 61-52 loss to Wilmington. We were talking with assistant coach Andrew Preston about that game last week, and it seemed like that type of game where there was a lid on top of the basket, had a tough time putting the ball in the basket. What lessons did you take away from that loss against Wilmington?
That first half, we definitely didn't shoot as well as we planned. We sort of had to adjust. We started taking the ball to the hole more, drawing the foul, getting the ball underneath. We just sort of had to adjust by different players playing different roles, that kind of thing. But we hung in there with them, but it was a tough loss.
Luckily, you were able to rebound with a win against Mount Union, 85-78 victory over the Purple Raiders. You're now 1-1 in OAC play. 9 players scored at least 2 points. 4 players scored in double figures, including you. What did you like from that game? What did you see offensively there?
That was it was just a good win for us right off of Wilmington. Sort of what I was saying earlier, just a lot of other players filling their roles, finding out what they need to do to help us win.
One of the players that's really been impressive so far these last couple games, Kristen Thompson. Last 3 games, 13.3 points per game, 8.3 rebounds per game. Coach Jeffers always tells me that she's one of those players that doesn't realize that she's one of the top forwards in the OAC. Do you feel like she's starting to turn the corner a little bit?
Yeah, that's for sure. She definitely had a big year for us last year as just a sophomore, and I think Coach Jeffers expects even more from her this year as a junior, and I think just in time for OAC play, she's starting to realize it.
Speaking of players that have been stepping up, I want to put the spotlight on you for just a second. We were talking earlier before the interview started. Your highest point total last season was 10 points. In your last 4 games, 16.5 points per game. And just a casual observation, when I watch you on the court, it seems like you go about your business quietly, a silent assassin type of character. You lead by example. Can you explain how you take on your leadership role as only one of 2 seniors on this club?
Yeah, I mean, from last year, I guess it's just the role that you have to fill as a senior. I knew coming into this year that would be one of my roles as a leader, as a scorer, just to be out there on the floor directing my teammates. So I knew coming into this year that I would have to take on that kind of role. So I'm trying my best to fill it.
You're one of the 2 seniors on this squad. Monica Heckman happens to be the other senior. This is a pretty young team. Has it been a challenge being a leader on this team at some point?
I wouldn't say it has been a challenge. Like I said, I sort of knew what to expect. But I mean, I have so much respect for every player on the team, from senior down to freshman. I mean, they're all my best friends. So I think they look up to me. I even look up to them. So it's not that hard.
I want to talk about the assistant coaches that you have on this team. Like I said, we had a chance to talk with assistant coach Andrea Preston. We interviewed her for our pregame show last week. What does she bring to the table as a member of the coaching staff?
I love Coach Preston. So far, she's been great. She just brings sort of an aspect of seeing things differently than Coach Jeffers. If she explains something, Coach Preston can explain it 10 different ways just to help us all out and help us realize what we need to do.
Another assistant coach on the staff, Jason Wright, he's been at Capital since the 2000-2001 season. He's been here the entire time that you've been here at Capital. What does he bring to the table?
We call him Coach Bubba. Bubba is just, he sort of just calms us all down. He puts things into perspective and just lets us know what we have to get done. But I like Bubba too. I love all our coaches.
You got a big month coming up ahead. Home games against Ohio Northern on December 13th and Otterbein on December 20th. Then you got the Christmas tournament. Worcester tends to be a pretty good program on the 29th. That's part of the Christmas tournament. What are you wanting to get out of this month besides obviously wins?
Right. Well, we'll take it one game at a time. Of course, the 2 OAC games coming up are 2 big ones. ONU, we battled them every game last year, and we ended up beating them in the championship game last year, so I'm sure they got a chip on their shoulder about that, so we're going to come out ready for that. Otterbeин's always a good game, just crosstown rivals, so that's always fun. But other than wins, just it's a learning process, and as long as we get it done, we'll all be happy.
Now let's learn more about you. You're originally from Fayetteville, Ohio. Can you talk about your hometown and how it shaped you as a person?
Yeah, Fayetteville's a really small farm town. I mean, I graduated with 70 people, so Capital wasn't a big adjustment just because it kept the numbers pretty small, but Columbus just in general is way different for me, but I love Columbus. My high school, my dad actually was my high school coach in basketball, so him shaping me as a player, shaping me as a leader really helped me come to Capital and be able to step up here. So it's been a good transition. How
big was it to have a coach like Dixie Jeffers bring you in here to Capital? I'm sure she was a big drawing card bringing you here to Bexley.
Yeah, Coach definitely, the coaching staff and the team is what brought me here, helped me choose Capital. She's had many influences in my life other than just bringing me here, so I'm very thankful for that.
What's it like being a student athlete at the Division III level?
It's tough. The workload is definitely tough. What coaches expect out of you versus what the teachers expect out of you at the same time. It's a lot on your plate.
Finals is taking place this week, and I'm sure that you're going to be really excited when they're all over and done.
Yeah, I'm done on Wednesday, so looking forward to that.
Now, you are a biology major. We were talking before the interview about how you wanted to become a physician's assistant.
Yes.
Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm applying to schools right now. My plan is to graduate in the spring, so as soon as that's over, as long as I've applied to 4 or 5 schools, and then hopefully I get accepted, and I'll be starting that in the fall.
For those not familiar with the job, what does a physician's assistant do?
I mean, they pretty much take on all the practices a doctor would take on, just depending on what field you go into. I mean, you can be in orthopedic surgery, you can be in a family practice, so it's pretty much whatever you pick for your job.
What led you to want to become a physician's assistant?
I've bounced back and forth between certain medical field jobs. I knew that's something that I always wanted to do, but I did a lot of shadowing and that kind of thing over the summer, and then a really good family friend of ours is a physician's assistant, so I spent a lot of time with her, and it really helped me make my decision.
Shelby, before we let you go, what we like to do here on the podcast, both for women's basketball and men's basketball, we have a random question of the week just to get to know the player, the coach that we are talking with. Here's our random question of the week. If there was a famous person, male or female, before your time that you would like to talk to, like to meet for like the very first time, who would it be? Could be an athlete, could be a person of the military, a famous president. You have a whole bevy of options.
Oh, wow. Anyone?
Anyone.
I'd probably talk to, sit down maybe with Michael Jordan, someone basketball related. I don't know, I have a lot of idols that I've looked up to. One current player that's still playing, Candace Parker, who I watched all growing up. I was a big Tennessee fan growing up, so anyone like that I would love to just sit down and talk to. 2 really good basketball players. Hey, Shelby, best of luck going forward. Good luck during finals. Thank you. They're around the corner, but I think they're going to get them done. That was Shelby Sheets joining us here, the senior guard from the Capital Women's Basketball Program. This has been the Capital Women's Basketball Podcast. I'm Charlie Danis for Capital Athletics. We'll see you next time.